As we work through this current situation, making decisions when it comes to food or dieting can feel a lot more challenging. And we're stuck in our apartment, we have access and the temptation of food around us all the time. But I want to share with you some simple strategies and tips to help making those decisions a lot easier. Now, often when it comes to dieting, we think a lot about restriction, and our go-to, because of diet culture, is to, when we do eat, try to eat as little as possible, and then in the times in between, we're always battling to resist hunger or temptation and try to eat as little as possible. But that could ultimately be the thing that is holding you back. So I want us to think about flipping, that mindset. Now we're going to talk a little bit about energy balance. So you don't necessarily have to count calories, but we're going to talk about calories a little bit. So most people can lose weight, consume between 10 to 13 calories, depending on how active they are. Most people will maintain their body weight between 13 to 15 calories per pound, again, depending on how active they are. And most people may gain some weight and total body fat, consuming 15 calories or more per pound, again, depending on how active they are. The more active you are, the more calories you can consume without, well, still being able to lose weight or still being able to maintain weight. And we're now in our apartments, and maybe we don't have the ability to be as active as possible, so these decisions may feel like they're a little bit more important, but they're not as challenging as most people are making it. So what we want to think about is your total daily energy expenditure is made up of 4 different things. Your basal metabolic rate, the amount of energy that it requires to keep you alive, the amount of energy that you burn at rest without doing anything, no other physical movements and no workouts at all, is around 60, 65, sometimes up to 70% of your total calories. So you're still going to be expending a lot of energy per day, even if you are not as active as you were previously. So nobody needs to consume less than 10 calories per pound. So I want us to stop the restriction mindset and trying to eat as little as possible. And I want us to start by thinking about nourishing our bodies and fueling our bodies. So you're going to take your body weight, you're going to times it by 10. That is your baseline. And we're going to use this as like a framework. So you're going to start with this number. Then obviously if you go outside for a walk, and you accumulate some daily steps, even if you're just wandering around your apartment, that expends more energy. If you do a workout, whether that's with a dumbbell, a kettlebell, whether it's strength focus, aerobic focus, just body weight, whether it's 20 minutes, 60 minutes, you're going to be increasing the amount of energy you're burning. But I want you to think about these things as part of your lifestyle. You're not exercising to burn a lot of calories, you're exercising, and as a bonus, you are expending more energy. So you're now going to have 3 main meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's say, for example, somebody is 150 pounds. Times 10, that's 1,500 calories. You could go 500, 500, 500. Now, something that we often see is that the gap between breakfast and lunch is smaller than the gap between lunch and dinner. So you may need something a little bit more substantial in between these meals to keep you satisfied until that point. And that's where we can look at snacks, or maybe it's something like a smaller meal. So already we're thinking about consuming food and what foods can I consume at these meals to fuel my body instead of restriction. Because often what happens is that we restrict, we try to have a really small breakfast, try to have a really small lunch, and then we get to the end of the day and you're starving and you have access to all of your favorite foods. So then it just becomes a constant battle where inevitably we lose, and you end up then overeating in the evening, and it creates this vicious cycle, because then you wake up the next day and you're like, right, now today I've got to be perfect. I've got to really restrict it at breakfast, really restrict it at lunch. And or sometimes what happens is that we try to have such really small meals for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and maybe we end up having lots of snack foods, and then the snack foods just accumulate. If you're having 8 meals, or like 3 or 4 meals and 3 or 4 snacks, 200 calories each, that's 1,600. That would be above the 1,500, but you're probably not going to feel very satisfied, very satiated, and you're probably not going to be consuming a lot of high nutrient foods. So we want to think about, again, trying to fuel our bodies and consume as many calories as we can, okay, within our range based on our body weight and our activity level. So if we go back to our example, 1500 calories. So you could go 500, 500, 500. And then we're going to do some extra activity with general activity and exercise, and that might allow you to have a smaller meal in between here and some snacks. And then you're probably going to be somewhere between here and here, between 10 and 15 calories per pound. So worst case is you're going to be maintaining your body weight. Okay? Best case is you may create a little bit of a deficit. Okay? But again, we've set you up for success. Instead of trying to stay here and then again ending up really hungry in the evening and over consuming, that's going to put you here. So if we can have the majority of your days where you know, okay, I'm going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, something in the afternoon, okay, most of the time you're going to be here, which means nothing bad is going to happen. So just by flipping that mindset and instead of restricting yourself as much as possible, you're going the other way and you're planning your meals and fueling your body for the activities that we know that you're going to do. Now, if you don't want to count calories, that's totally okay. You can have an idea of calories, or you can think about meals being either small, medium, or large. And you'll start to understand how that fits in with your lifestyle and your habits. Maybe you have a small breakfast, medium lunch, and a large dinner. Maybe you have a medium breakfast. You're not that hungry at lunchtime. You have a small lunch, you have a snack in the afternoon, then you have a large dinner. Maybe you have medium, medium, medium. In terms of what meals comprise a small, a medium, or large, so today for lunch I had 2 whole eggs, 2 egg whites on a flatbread with some salad. I would say that that was a medium meal. I had a good amount of protein, good amount of carbohydrates, good amount of fats. And the portion size was adequate. If I'd have had another egg or another egg white, maybe one or both, maybe that would have been a large meal. If I would have not had the flatbread, then it would have been a small meal. If we think about tacos, 1 taco, 2 tacos, 3 tacos. So try not to overthink it, and you'll be able to get a good reference point as to how you feel having different size meals at different points in the day, on how that affects your hunger and how that affects your decisions later on in the day. Again, all of these things are just here to give you a little bit more information so you can make more objective decisions as you go forward. Snacks, probably want to aim to have no more than 2 snacks per day. You can have snacks in between your meals, or you could have a snack as part of your meal. So let's say I have my lunch and then have a small snack. Adding that on top of the amount of calories might take me from a medium meal to a large meal, but I'm going to feel very, very full and very satisfied that I can probably go all the way to dinner without needing something to eat. If I just have a small snack in the middle of the afternoon, yeah, it's going to taste great, but it's probably not going to fill me up. So I'm going to have a snack, but I'm not going to be satisfied. I'm probably going to have another snack, and then another snack, and then my dinner. And a lot of things end up creeping in that way, where if it happens on one day, okay, that's totally fine. Again, you might end up being here on one day, but the average, based on the overall 7 days of intake, is probably going to be likely somewhere around here. But you will have experienced it. You will know next time, okay, instead of just having a snack here, I'm going to try and have my snack with lunch. Or maybe you try to have a combination of snacks. So sometimes I'll have a Greek yogurt and an apple. A combination of 2 snacks provides a lot more satiety that it would be basically like a small or a mini meal in the afternoon that keeps me going until dinner time. Now, as you start to plan forward, you'll start to get an idea, and this is really where you're going to see a lot more benefit. You'll get an idea of 3 or 4 different options you can have for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. So let's say we're having 3 meals a day. It's 21 meals over the course of a week. Now, let's say breakfast. You can control that. You have 2 or 3 different options. Okay, so that's 7 out of your 21 meals done. Okay, you don't have to think about them anymore. They're just going to happen, and they're going to fit within your energy balance. We know that. Now, having 7 good breakfasts is probably going to lead on to you being able to make at least 4 really good decisions when it comes to lunch. Okay, so now our 7 meals becomes 11. Now that's nearly half of your weekly meals we now know are fitting within the range of total calories and nutrients that we want to consume and that you want to consume to support your health and fitness goals. So it's basically half. So we're definitely on our way to success. So now maybe you only have to really think consciously about making good decisions at 3 other meals. Okay, we get to those 3 other meals and then we're at 14. Okay, more than half. So just simply by having options for breakfast, that got us to nearly halfway, and now it's got us to nearly 60% of those meals. Now again, having a good breakfast will make it easier for making a good decision at lunch, and I would estimate that we could probably get at least 4 really good dinners without even really having to put a lot of effort in and trying. Okay? So that's going to take us to 18. Now 18 out of 21, okay? You basically have another 3 meals that, to be honest, even if they were bad, they wouldn't really make that much difference on the weekly average and where you would sit in terms of your total calorie intake and your average for the week. So sometimes just a couple of small actions, again, will have a domino effect and lead on to much better decisions later on in the day. So again, if we can fix breakfast, we'll probably organically make better decisions for at least half of the meals you're consuming. If you can be consistent with that, then we'll probably be at least 80%. And then if you want to have some foods just because they taste nice for dinner that aren't quote unquote healthy, you can probably get away with doing that maybe 3 to 4 times a week. Okay? So I think sometimes that we obsess over everything, but you can only affect the things that are happening right now. So we want to take it day by day. We want to set ourselves up for success. Okay? Plan some meals ahead, plan some breakfast, plan some lunches, plan some dinners. As a result, it will make it easier for you to make better decisions on some other days. There will be some other days where it may be more difficult, but as long as they are only a small percentage of your overall intake, it's really not going to make that much of a significant difference to the amount of progress that you will or will not make. So instead of constantly thinking about restricting, flip it and think about fueling your body and finding some way to set yourself a structure and give yourself some objectives about what you want to achieve and how your nutrition is going to support the activity that you're going to do. Again, you're going to burn the majority of your total daily energy expenditure just from being alive, okay? The amount of calories that you burn at rest. We know that over the course of 7 days, there will be some days where we're less active, some days that we're more active. And maybe you don't get as many steps, it's totally okay. We have 7 days. Most of us are exercising at least 3, if not up to 5 times per week, even if it's 20 to 30 minutes of a bodyweight workout. It's still having a really important impact on your total daily energy expenditure and going to help you to be able to consume more calories and still achieve your health and fitness goals without having to starve yourself. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that it's made you feel at ease a little bit more when making decisions when it comes to food and diet. And again, you do not have to exercise to eat. Okay? You're going to burn a lot of calories over the course of the 24 hours and over the course of the 7 days. Again, if you guys have any questions, then please pop them below.